Just so you guys know, with the microphone being right there, it might pick up whatever you're saying. So I just know you're fine. I just want to let you know. Just in case.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all need to be quiet.
Oh my God, I'm the hardest person you know. Besides her.
So excited about this. We've got a collapsible frame under. Okay.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. There was a point today where we weren't even sure if this meeting was going to happen, but luckily we were spared from the weather, and it's nice to see the turnout that we've had. I'm Mr. Pattison. I am one of the assistant principals at the high school, and first of all, I want to see how many incoming freshmen do we have? With a raise of hand, how many incoming freshmen do we have? All right, so I'm happy that we're having this meeting tonight. Just a little bit ago, the school was full of students decorating for our Winterfest Spirit Day tomorrow. For those of you who are coming up, I think you're going to see that the high school is a very exciting place, and there's a lot of really cool things that we do. When you walked in, one of the things that you would have seen are our murals. That's a tradition that we do every year. We do it for every Spirit Week, and students or classes have an opportunity to win points that will culminate in our Spirit Assembly tomorrow for the coveted Spirit Jug. Another thing that I encourage you to do after the meeting, especially if you have your 8th graders, if you're here, and parents too, go around in our E-house to check out the hallway decorations. Our classes just got done decorating those, and they put a lot of time and effort to it, and they do a really, really cool job. And 8th graders coming up, as freshmen, you'll have the opportunity to do that next year. I want you guys to see some of those things that you have to look forward to. So tonight's meeting is all about scheduling for next school year. One of the great things about Alpena High School is the number of classes and opportunities that we have. However, with a lot of opportunity comes a lot of choices. The past week in advisory, even though our schedule has been thrown off a little bit by the weather, students have had the chance to start learning more about the scheduling process and also about some of the courses that we offer. One of the amazing things about Alpena High School is we offer some classes and programs that only a few schools in the entire state of Michigan even offer. Things like our PBL classes, some of our very innovative CTE programs, and then opportunities down the road like dual enrollment and early college through ACC. But planning for a lot of those opportunities start now, whether you plan on taking advantage of those opportunities as a freshman next year or a few years down the road. So the first thing that I wanted to do for this evening is to introduce our counseling team. The counselors are going to be going through the scheduling process and course, I guess, department information in a little bit more detail. At the end of tonight's meeting, if you have additional questions on courses and things like that, under the counseling corner of the Alpena High School website, we have all of our videos that students are watching in their advisory classes linked right there. So you can go home and watch those videos, get a lot more information, and that way it's not just based off of what you see here tonight, because we do have a lot of choices. So our counseling department is made up of 4 counselors. Mrs. Vogt, who cannot be here right now, she's at ACC running a FAFSA lab for our seniors, is our counselor for our students with the last names of A through E. Mrs. Doust is our counselor for students who have last names F through L. Mrs. Linton has last names M through R. And Mrs. Miller has last names of S through Z. So they will be leading the presentation tonight. I just wanted to take the chance to welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. And I will hand the microphone off to Mrs. Miller.
Hi, everyone. Oh, I guess I do. Good to see you all. Again, I'm Robin Miller, so if your student's last name starts with S through Z, hopefully I will work with your child through graduation. We wanted to talk about things that we do in our offices as counselors that might be a little different than at Thunder Bay Junior High. We can see students for a whole variety of reasons. A lot of students do, especially as freshmen, want to have someone checking in with them at the school. And once they learn that they could do that, it is kind of nice because it is a big transition. And I know that I have a couple of freshmen that I started out the year checking in with them maybe every 3 weeks. And it's a quick 5-minute, how are things going, how are your classes, you know, and then 3 weeks later we meet and kind of get over some bumps in that together. So it's real supportive. We could do mediation if your child is struggling with a group of friends or a relationship. We can help them through those things. Besides appointments, they can walk in before school, after school, or at lunch and talk to their counselor about something. We do 4-year plans. I love doing that at 9th grade level, actually. Plan out what do you want to do, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then see how that changes over the years. It's really kind of cool. Of course, as they get older, we help with where the college planning, scholarships, life issues. You know, if my dog died last night, I can't go to class crying. We get a whole variety of students who come to us. So if you see your child is struggling with something and might use someone at school, would be helpful for them to talk to, please encourage them to come and see us. We are an e-house. Almost everybody's an e-house who is a support for you and your child. These are some of the people in E-House that are also supports. At Thunder Bay Junior High, your child had a school success worker or workers there. We have Brian Robarge. He's across the hall from the counseling office, and he takes on a very similar role to what the school success at Thunder Bay did. He works mostly with freshmen, typically freshmen who are maybe struggling a little more than the typical, or maybe having some attendance problems or academic struggles. He can check in with them a little more intensively sometimes. Stephanie Piper is our Dean of Student Support Success. She is in our Restorative Center, and she's hunting down kids all the time. Just, how are you? You know, how are things going? She's checking grades. So just another support down there, as well as we just got Rob Adams as our behavioral tech. So if we have some students who are struggling a little bit with their behavior, sometimes in 9th grade it's because they're uncomfortable. They're not quite comfortable with us yet, so we get these behaviors that might need some more guidance in place, and we have him on board to help us this year as well. In D-House, we have Lisa Leonard and Penny Kroniak. They're with the Alcona Health Center for clinically seeing our students for counseling. So to just like you would go outside of school for a counseling appointment, their office is within our school, and the students can get a pass to go to their counseling appointments. It's kind of nice, you don't have to worry about transportation and all of that. And then new, just recently, the Alcona Health Center with Monica Dzinski as the PA opened. I've been there twice already. And it's really nice to have it there. They won't see your student unless they have the forms filled out ahead of time. So when your student comes home with those, if you want them to do that, make sure you turn that in. But we have a lot of support people here at the high school for you and your student. There are a lot of ways that you can, of course, as you know, help at home. I think one of the biggest areas that I talk to students with, one of my first questions when we're talking about academics is, do you have a space and time at home where you can work without distraction? Because I know even in my house, we have a small house, and there's a space and there's time, but it is not often quiet in my house. So we have to like verbally tell each other, so-and-so's working on homework. You know, and it's very important that your student gets that space, time, and no distraction area so that they can study and work on their homework. The more involved your student is, the more successful they will be. So even if they're not in the club or on the team, they can go to the club events, they can go to the athletic activities with the community, with your church, whatever it is your family belongs to. We find that the more involved your student is, the more successful they will be. encouraging the mindset for learning, just that positive, go to school, turn in your work, and having those conversations in a positive manner as well. At high school is where the shift of you're going from child to young adult happens, and I feel that it's very uncomfortable for both parties. So, this is a first step, them coming here as ninth graders, and if you can just encourage that learning mindset, a positive attitude about attendance and behavior, monitoring their grades and attendance. You don't necessarily have to check every day. I don't think we want you to check every day, but be checking in with them. And sometimes even with my own kids, if I see a low grade, I might just say, what's going on in science? That sounds different than, what's the D- in science about? Okay, there's totally a difference there. So just the proactive, positive conversations that you can have makes such a difference with these kids. They're your kids, but we hear it too. So positive conversations. And then finally, to communicate with us. I don't think parents know enough that they can email teachers. It's hard to know when to call because they have students in front of them almost all day long, but feel free to, if there are things that you want your child's teacher to know about their learning or their person, send them an email and give them that information right off the bat. You could also reach out to the counselor, or if there's other staff that would benefit from knowing certain things about your student, please reach out, communicate. We're going to shift a little bit into careers and classes and graduation credits. So your student has heard about career pathways. You have probably heard about career pathways. At the middle school level in ninth grade, we hear your child is a little stressed, like I don't know what I want to do when I graduate. You're not even done with 8th grade yet at this point. So if they can just be thinking about this, and I try to tell them that, just be thinking, like when you look at these 6 career pathways, is there one that you can cross off? For me, that's engineering and technology. I'm not going into that. It's not my thing, never has been. I'm crossing that off. But just to keep your mind open, and I did put some examples up there, because sometimes kids are like, oh, I don't know what you mean, what's health science? And if you look these up online, you can find careers that just have a diploma or an associate's degree, or a bachelor's or a master's at all the different levels. So just keep this tucked back there for the next 4 years here throughout your conversations. Now, Mary Doust is going to break this down a lot more, but the big picture with graduation requirements is this. Your child needs 22 credits to graduate. They're offered 24. Okay, so every class that they pass here, they earn half a credit. You can earn 3 credits in a semester, 6 credits in a year, 6 credits over 4 years is that 24. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there, and we understand life happens. We've had life happen to us, so if something happens and they don't get through a certain class, there's a little bit of wiggle room, but not a lot. And then Mary's gonna cover the specifics of all of this. Thank you very much.
Oh, I need that. Sorry, I'm not climbing up on the stage. So I am Mary Doust, working with students' last names F through L, and I recognize faces here of some of the parents around here. So I'm going to go over the more specifics of the graduation requirements for each of the departments. Life at the high school has changed a lot from when the parents were here, or even more from when I was in high school, it's changed. And now there are many, many different paths and different options to get through the assorted classes. Okay, so these are the basics. I'm not going to go through every single possible option and twist, because then we would be here all night long. So the English department. Students need 4 credits of English to graduate, so they have to have 4 full years. Here at the high school, we do not teach English 12. English 12 we cover with electives, so that's why up here it says English electives for the last one. We have a couple of options for English 9. We have a couple of options for English 10 and 11. So most of you are 9th grade parents. So for English 9, the choices are English 9, Advanced English 9, or American Perspectives, which is the PBL version, which is U.S. History and English 9 combined in a 2-hour block. So those are the 3 options for the 9th graders for English. But here's the total requirements for your 4 years here at the school. Math. We have to have Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then 1 more credit of math or math related, and at least a half a credit of that has to be in their final year of high school. We call it a senior math credit, but it's final year of high school, whatever year that is. So the students that go into the early college program, for instance, and are here for 5 years, they have to have that last half credit of math in the 5th year. So, what does your student take? Your student should take the next one on the list. So if they are in Math 8, then they will take Algebra. If they are currently in Algebra, they take Geometry. Okay? If by chance they're taking Geometry, then they go to Algebra 2. But for each of those, we also have options. So for Algebra, for instance, they can take the standard Algebra 1 like we took when we were in high school. Or they can take Algebra 1 Math Pathways, which is a computer-based program through the ALEX program, a little more self-paced. Or they can take more of a hands-on class, which is a class called AMP Up. That's a combination of algebra and woodworking. It's a 2-hour block taught with a math teacher and a woodshop teacher, and they learn math through building with wood projects. So those are the 3 algebra options. We have 3 very similar options for geometry. We have regular geometry, we have the Math Pathways geometry, and we have geometry in construction, which is another class that is geometry through building. Okay? So we have many options to get different places. The science requirements. Science has basically 3 different paths to go on. Your student needs 3 credits of science unless they are falling under an exception, because we have exceptions to a whole bunch of our graduation requirements. Science is probably the most confusing of the exceptions. So, the 3 paths. The first path listed is your student could take zoology and botany, 1 year of each. Those are CTE classes, which, for the adults in the room, we used to call them vocational education classes. Okay, that's what the CTE classes are. Zoology and botany are ag classes. They're part of the Future Farmers of America program. Though the students that take those 2 classes should have career goals related to agriculture. And they take those 2, and it completes their credits. Kind of the standard track is interactions of matter and energy, which is a physical science, followed by biology, which is a life science, and then earth science, and some other science, some science elective that we have. We have some pretty fun science electives, things like crime lab, astronomy, intro to forestry, intro to wildlife. The science electives might be chemistry or physics or environmental science, okay? So again, assorted ways to get there. And the third option is kind of the accelerated track for students who are thinking more into science and medical careers, definitely going into the four-year colleges. It's a little bit accelerated. They take biology, chemistry, and physics, and we encourage a fourth science after that, because these students are probably going on to science-related careers. So those are the three basic ways to get through science. So you have to kind of think about where you're going to figure out which plan to go. Okay? And it is possible to switch a little bit, but you may end up with an extra science along the way. Social studies. The basic requirements are U.S. history, world history, government, and economics. And we have a choice for each of them. Okay? For the 9th graders, they generally start with U.S. history, or they take the American perspectives, which is that English history combination class. And then there are different options for the world history, the economics, and the government as well. But for 9th grade, it's U.S. history or American perspectives. Somewhere along the way during their years of high school, somewhere through there, they need to take 1 semester of health and 1 semester of PE. We don't care which years, but you have to have one of each. Health can be health or the healthcare occupations class, which is kind of a pre-nursing, pre-med class. We have several PE classes that they can take. A new one that we're offering next year is sports performance and nutrition, which counts as a health credit. And they are going to be doing some weight training as well. It's kind of geared towards the students that are going towards the athletic realm in the high school years. So if you're going to be on one of our teams, you might want to consider the sports performance and nutrition to cover your health credit. Okay? World languages. They need 2 years of world language. Here at the high school, we offer French, German, and Spanish. There are other options online, but those are the 3 we teach here. If they are taking level 1 at the junior high, you should consider them signing up for level 2 for the 9th grade year. It is not recommended to take a gap year with foreign language. Some students say, well, yeah, I took Spanish 1 in 8th grade, but I'm going to wait and take Spanish 2 in 10th grade or 11th grade. Not a good idea. If you're not using foreign languages, you tend to lose it, so they should be consecutive years. Visual performing and applied arts. Students need to take 1 credit, 1 full year of something that falls under the visual performing and applied arts. Many students, when they hear this, they think, but I don't like art. That's okay. It could be a visual art, it could be a performing art, it could be something applied. So classes that fall under this, and there's a whole list of them in our course selection guide, but the ones that fall under this could be anything that falls in the shop room. Auto, welding, construction, drafting. It could be classes like our marketing classes. It could be art. It could be band. It could be choir. Many of our English classes fall under visual performing or applied arts. So we have quite a few of them. Students have to take 1 year of it somewhere along the way. Now going back to the world language part, it said 2 years of world language and it says 1 year of visual performing art. However, the state of Michigan does allow us to reverse those, so it is possible to do 1 year of foreign language and 2 years of visual performing art. But you have to have at least one of each of them. Okay? So I think that's all I have. And then, by the way, students always ask, what are the electives? Electives are any class that you take that are not required. So if you take extra English, if you take 5 credits of English, that 5th credit is an elective. Okay? So that's what electives means. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Linton to talk through the next section.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Andrea Linton, and I will see students with the last names M through R. So super happy, excited to see you all here tonight. And I'm going to go through the last little bit of our slides that we have here. So if your student is on the college track, they should really think about taking more advanced level classes like our AP classes. Most of our AP classes, students would take in their junior and senior year. One of our AP classes, we do have some sophomores that take AP Euro. Dual enrollment is also an option where students will be enrolled here at the high school, but then they will also take classes at the college. And again, that would be in junior and senior year. And then testing out is also an option. Testing out would be taking a final exam for a class, and if they pass the final exam with a C+ or better, they would earn credit for that course without actually taking the course. So we offer testing out twice a year, I think in December and April, and students probably about a month before would have to sign up. So for example, if a student didn't want to take their health class, they could sign up to test out of health, and if they get a C+ or better, they would earn that health credit without taking the course. Credit recovery would be for students who, they had maybe a rough year and they failed a class. So there are some options. They can do credit recovery, which would be, they can do credit recovery online, which would be probably a little bit less intensive and shorter in duration, possibly, of the course that they failed. Summer school is also an option, so again, that would be shorter in duration. I think summer school is about 3 weeks, so they would do a little bit less intensive course. It would be a repeat, and that gives them an option to recover credit that maybe they failed during the school year. And then, of course, we have volunteer hours. Students can earn up to 2 credits in their 4 years of high school by doing volunteer service work, and it would be 100 volunteer hours is a half credit, and the max they can do is 400 hours for a total of 2 credits. Okay, course repeats. Students may not repeat a course that they've already passed, okay? So there are exceptions to this, and you can see the other list. Band, choir, academic support, yearbook, leadership, PE, and current events. Those are all classes that students can take over and over again. Students can actually take a PE class every semester for 4 years if they want. Next up. Okay, so this slide, your grade level is based on the number of credits a student earns. So if you have only earned up to 5 credits, you will be considered a 9th grader. So it doesn't matter how many years you've been in the building. If you've been in the building for 2 years or 3 years and you only have 5 credits, you are still considered a freshman or a 9th grader.
To move on to 10th grade, you have to have a minimum of 5.5 credits, up to 10.5 credits earned. To move on to junior status, you have to have 11 to 16 credits, and then your senior or 12th grade, you have to have completed 16.5 credits up to 24. And when I say completed, you have to have passed the class. Okay, we are getting there. Okay, so your son or daughter received their scheduling worksheet in their advisory class last week. So your student will be working with their advisory teachers to enter their requests into Synergy. The due date is listed on the worksheet, which is February 20th. Thank you. If your student has an IEP, he or she will work with their provider to select courses, and those will then be entered into Synergy. Okay, so scheduling overview. 9th graders will choose 6 credits or a total of 12 classes. So it would be 6 classes first semester, 6 classes second semester. So again, this is just an overview. English, 1 credit. When you are inputting your courses, so English, for example, you have to have English A, English 9A, and then English 9B. So if there's a part A, you have to also put on your scheduling worksheet, and in Synergy, you have to put A and B. Math, same thing. You're going to do Algebra 1A, Algebra 1B. Science, 1 credit, same thing. Social studies, 1 credit, again, both parts A and B. And then your electives, you're going to have 1 or 2 electives in addition to your cores, which would be 2 or 4 classes. That could also include your world language if you're taking Spanish, French, or German. As well, students need to include 4 alternate classes. Those would be, any other classes that they might be interested in taking if they're first electives. If they aren't successful in getting their first choices for electives, if they have alternates, we go down the list, whatever their first alternate is, second, third, and fourth. So make sure they fill in all of their alternates as well. So this is what their scheduling worksheet looks like. It's 1 page, super simple, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure they include their name, their student ID, all of their core classes. Again, they have to include the A and the B. There are teacher signatures where required, so for math, they need a teacher signature. There's science, and those are going to be the best resources to ask their math teacher, which math class should I take? Or their science teacher, which science track should I follow? And then same thing with the foreign language, they need their teacher signature as well for that. Electives, again, you're going to add your 4 electives. Put those in order, so things like, your PE, your health class, visual and performing arts, or any CTE classes, those would be considered electives. And then your 4 alternates would be, if you don't get those elective choices, then the alternates, we go down to the alternates next. Okay, I think we have 1 more. Okay, so here's your checklist of everything you need to include in your scheduling worksheet. Make sure your name is on your worksheet. We need the student signature, we need the parent signature, and then again, any teacher signature where it applies. You should have a total of 6 credits, 4 alternate classes. Once you've filled it in on paper, you can input it into Synergy, and then your worksheet does get turned into your advisory teacher. And then eventually it comes over to us at the high school. And this is our website. If you see the arrow at the top there where it says schools, you would click on that or just hover over that and then scroll down to Alpena High School. Then you will go the middle arrow where it's the counseling corner, you will scroll down to scheduling for the high school, and then you will see all of those links. Each of those links will provide you with the course selection guide, which provides you with details on or descriptions for all of the classes that we offer, the student counseling form, the screencastifies, which are videos that we share with our high school students, and there's also a CT informational brochure. So everything is listed on our website. If you aren't sure and you have questions, you can always check out our website, but you can also email any one of us if you have any questions. And I think that is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. Do we have time for questions or anybody? Questions?
We're that good?
We are so good. We have a question over there.
So if they put down 8 electives, is there a chance they'll get one of them? Or what happens if they don't get any of the electives you just assign them an elective?
So they're gonna fill in the electives up to 6 credits, and then their alternates will be put in place of something they don't get in the order that they put them into Synergy. Synergy does pay attention to the order, and so any class that they don't get, it'll go down to an alternate. If we run out of alternates,
That's my question.
then, depending on what time of year we notice that, and how close it is to the first day of school, to be honest, we may call the student and ask, or see what's available where the schedule fits. If they're going to be doing their first year of foreign language next year, if they're doing level 1, please have them put in an alternate foreign language, because that's one that I've found happens if they are asking for Spanish 1, for instance. Some years we don't teach Spanish 1 at the high school because so many students take Spanish 1 at the junior high. So if they haven't done level 1 yet, give us that backup foreign language, world language, sorry. I'm stuck in the old terminology. But they have to list at least 4 alternates. If they want to list 24 alternates, go right ahead.
But if they put the alternates in, I don't think we've ever run into an instance where students don't get classes unless there's a lot of conflicts. It's typically if students don't put in alternates, then we run into issues.
Yeah, the
Good
only
question,
time
though.
I remember is when I had a student, every single one of the alternates was a year-long class, and I was looking for a semester class. So I'm like, oh, you gave me lots of alternates, but none that I can use. So make sure that there's some one semester in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
Volunteer hours, is that going to be any nonprofit places for credit, or will you have a list of places they could volunteer?
Students would sign up with YVC, Youth Volunteer Corps, so you register with them first, and they kind of help guide this too. It can be pretty much anywhere that they're not getting paid, that they're doing some service outside of their family and their home. So if there's anything that you question, that you or your student would reach out to the YVC leader and say, hey, we're thinking of this, does it work?
Okay.
And go from there. Anyone else? Yes?
So for an example, if you put down sport performance and nutrition, that's a half a credit. So would you put that down 2 times on the elective part if you want them to take it?
Yeah, good question. So a second one would be PED or lifetime sports for the next semester.
Okay. So you put each of those down. Maybe take it.
Yep, and then when it schedules, it'll go into when it's based off the semester.
So the question was basically if you wanted PE all year and you did the sports performance and nutrition, that would be first semester, and then second semester would be whatever other PE class you wanted. To put them both in there as electives.
Anything else?
Briefly on the math part, kind of going to foreign language, how you don't want to have a separation between foreign language years. Is there a reason why Algebra 1 is separated with Geometry, and then goes to Algebra 2, and then you have the opposite of what, generally don't you want one to
I
forward to
can
the
answer
next?
that, actually. I actually know the answer, because I asked the math department that too. Different schools teach them in different orders. Here in Alpena, there is some algebra in geometry, and so it helps to know some of your algebra first, because it makes geometry easier. Okay? And then the same is true with Algebra 2. In Algebra 2, there are some of the standards and parts of geometry that are used that will make Algebra 2 easier to understand. So that's why. Because I asked that once to one of the math people, because I didn't know the answer either. Any other questions? Okay, well,
Let me check the chat real quick.
Okay.
Just to make sure.
okay, once he sees if there's any written questions coming in on the live feed, then we
All
will
right.
dismiss you.
I'm glad I checked. There's one question.
Okay.
If they choose to do AMP up, what would happen if they did not get into this class? So really with a lot of core courses, we run into this with PBL. Yeah, I use this. Anybody yelling? This kind of comes back to when there's a...
Did I turn it off? I might have, I was playing.
This comes back to one of those things when you have a lot of choices. At the end, you have to make a lot of choices. So one thing that our students will run into, if you sign up for an AMP up and you want band, we run into an issue where students have to choose between taking amped up and band because they're both offered in the afternoon. We've run into some instances where students have to choose between choir and a PBL. Especially we see this a lot with our block courses. And those are things when they pop up and we're doing schedules, we will usually communicate with the families throughout the summer to say, hey, we weren't able to get this into your schedule. Do you want to go with band in a different math class, or do you want to go with amped up and choose a different elective over band? And those are usually conversations that we'll have before the beginning of the school year, because we'll see on your schedule, you don't have a math, you don't have the PBL you wanted. So hopefully that answers your question. I didn't see any other questions on the chat. So I do invite you to check out the hallways real quick. Just be careful going up the stairs. They do decorate the stairs as well. It gives you a good taste of some of the exciting things that we do at the high school once you get up here. I came from a different district, out of state actually, and our Spirit Weeks are better than I've seen anywhere. So once again, thank you for coming this evening, and we look forward to seeing you 8th graders as freshmen pretty soon.
Remember, we have extra forms if they need.